Headshot. Wow.
Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and today I'm coming to you with another range report. And a range report of what I think is one of the coolest guns in my collection, and one that I recently did a build series on, my USC to UMP conversion. And so, as you saw from the opening footage, I got this thing to the range. And I was kind of excited to shoot it because I have wanted one of these guns for a long time. Obviously, I'm an HK collector. I love HK designs. And this is also a gun that I've talked to a lot of people about. I know that some people have owned them. In fact, I talked to the Alabama Arsenal, another fantastic YouTube channel. He did a series a long time ago on how to convert a USC to UMP on your own. I obviously went with Tommy Bostic, who did the rear end fuse. And as you can see here, you do not even see where that fuse took place. So this comes off of a demilled UMP upper receiver, the rear end piece is, and it looks absolutely just fantastic. So dimensionally, this thing is the same as like a real full auto UMP. It's just semi-auto only, based off of a USC upper receiver. But I've talked to people that have owned these, and I've pretty much gotten the same response from everybody, and the other reviews I've seen from people that have actually reviewed the real full auto versions of these. Everyone says the same thing. They're not as fun to shoot as they look. And it's not that they're not fun to shoot, because any gun is really fun to shoot. It's not as pleasurable to shoot. This is mechanically one of the most simple guns I own. It is amazing how simple this firearm is. It is direct blowback. There's no locking system like you get in the MP5 with the delayed roller system, or like a SIG MPX. It is simply a big massive bolt, no locking system, uses direct blowback, and you feel it in your shoulder. Even though it's just a pistol caliber carbine, it has some thud to it. You really feel it back here in the stock. It wasn't as accurate as I thought it would be. Now granted, this is a chopped down 16-inch barrel that has been threaded and crowned, and I have a little muzzle device on here, but everyone says you really need to get a proper machined American-made barrel for it. They shoot a little bit more accurate. Some of it too, I think, is the sights. One of the complaints people say about either the USC or the UMP is the rear sight. You have a little notch here in the back, as you can see, and you also can flip it to a ring sight. Now, the problem with this ring sight is that it sticks up above the wings of the protective kind of side here for the sight, which is weird because if you put it down, it can get knocked off or moved or whatever. Normally you have those little protective wings that would surround the whole sight. So just the way it's designed is a little bit weird. I've heard people complain about that. I think Grand Thumb complained about that when he shot the UMP as well. I found that the gun is more accurate with the rear peep sight than with the notch sight. That was just me personally. Just a little bit more accurate. The front sight post a little bit wide for my taste. I don't know if I can get this on camera here. Right there. A little bit wide, but you're not going to use this gun for long range shooting. But for just taking it to the range, short range stuff, CQB stuff, it'd be fine. I can also see where shooting this really fast, if it was a machine gun, would be kind of difficult. As I said, you have that thud and you feel the gun kind of rise a little bit. So even Larry Vickers, I know I'm dropping a lot of names of other people that create content, but these are guys that I trust, and I'm just kind of confirming what they have said, is that this is a gun that's really designed more for short burst stuff than like full auto fire like you would get on a MP5. It's not as controllable. So you definitely feel that thud, you definitely get some muzzle rise. But overall, you cannot beat the cool factor of this. The trigger's okay on it. The controls are great, very much like a AR-15. You got the the ping pong paddle, bolt release up here. You have kind of the typical like MP5 style safety selector right here. Magazine is going to be like a AK-47 with a paddle release. All the controls really easy to use, very intuitive. Stock has a good length of pull even though it's not adjustable. And when it comes to the front, right now I don't have a vertical foregrip. I'm waiting on an HK vertical foregrip for this thing. But I took it to the range and shot it without. And because it's a little bit more thuddy, as I mentioned before with the recoil, I really like to have that vertical foregrip. I know Andrew Steele from Australia always tells me that those vertical foregrips are girly. I just like them. Plus the anti-gunners here in the United States absolutely hate them. It's another reason why I like to have them on my guns. But I'm waiting for that. That'd actually make it a little bit more comfortable, but just holding on to the pick rail up here, not as comfortable. So I ended up kind of shooting it here by holding the magazine well, but I'm really waiting on that vertical foregrip. Overall, it was okay. I think where this gun really shines is, of course, just the simple cool factor. I mean, nobody else really has one. I mean, other people do, but not many people at the range. You're not going to see many people shooting one or owning one, but overall, good gun. Good gun. I'm actually thinking about, now that I've shot this, I'm thinking about buying one of the stripped lower receivers from Tommy Bostic at Tommy Built, one of his receivers, maybe in flat dark earth, and actually building a 9mm version of this. Being that this is a USC, this has a 45 ACP style ejection port, which is what the originals had. But when they started to chamber them for 40, 9mm, I think they offer these also in 10mm and 357 SIG, they found that the other cartridges would hit on the wall here and go back into the action and jam the gun. So they actually elongated them in some of the later models for the other calibers, and Tommy's design does that as well. And also it has the push pin system that this one has, but you of course don't need the fuse. So it's a little bit more sturdy of a system. It just has his markings on it. But I think I'm gonna make a 9mm SBR out of one of his. I really do like this gun a lot. It's just not of a nice shooter like an MP5 or a SIG MPX. Personally, I would only recommend somebody going this route if they want the cool factor. If you're looking for a great shooting gun, look elsewhere. As I said, the SIG MPX, the Brugger and Toman APC or GHM series, I even think an AR-15 chambered in 9mm is a little bit better shooter than this. But you gotta realize that the philosophy of use of this gun was designed to be pretty much a big piece of plastic that was easily manufactured for a relatively cheap price for military and law enforcement. And for that, it fits the bill here pretty good. It just shoots okay, but it definitely has that cool factor to it. And so, yeah, so how do I rate it? It's a good question because it's so different. Cool factor, 5 out of 5 stars. Shooting factor, 3 out of 5 stars. I'm not disappointed that I spent the money and bought this thing and had it converted. So I guess a kind of an average would be 4 stars, but really I want to say 3.5 stars out of 5. I would only suggest somebody take the time and invest the money in it if it's something that you really want and it fits into your collection. But don't feel bad if you want one and either can't afford it or don't want to go the whole hassle and route of building one. It's not that great of a gun. I really think there are better options out there and you'll have less money involved. But there you go, it's just a cool gun. So I know I've said that a whole bunch. So I guess you guys know where I stand on that. So there you go. So yeah, it is a cool range toy. It is not a gun that I would use for self-defense. It is not a gun that I would use as my, bug out gun or anything. But it is definitely cool. And one of the positives too about it, even my neighbor who shot this mentioned it, because it is made of so much polymer, it's really a very lightweight gun. Really the only thing that's metal in it is the barrel. You got the trunnion here in the front, and really the components within the trigger that are metal as well. Almost everything else is polymer. And that's pretty amazing that they can make a gun that's supposedly this durable out of this much polymer without metal reinforcements. So yeah, man, I am so happy and glad with how this thing came out. Tommy Bostic did just an amazing, amazing job. And so there you go. Just going to show it off one more time. So there's the range report, 3.5 stars out of 5. If you don't own one, don't worry, you're not really missing much. There's not anything really cool or complicated about it. It's a very, very simple gun. So there you go. My range report on the USC to UMP conversion, done by Tommy Bostic, and those are just my thoughts. So I hope this was enlightening to some people who were thinking about doing this. And since I've started this build, I've had a lot of people on my Instagram and on my email contact me regarding procuring the parts and what I did, and me telling them that I've helped them through this process. So I'm glad that I did that. But I hope I don't disappoint anybody with this range report who's already in the process of getting one of these. So there you go. All right, so let me know if you have any questions, and if you have a UMP or shot a USC or UMP, have your experiences been the same as mine? So as always, thanks for watching.